mai mi sa với ca mai mi sa với ca mai mi sa với ikiti shamali.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome. My name is Atira Tan. I'm really happy and delighted to welcome you to this mini lecture. So, before we start, I might invite you to take a moment, find you a seat, and settle in into the ground. If you like, you can place both of your feet on the ground, just noticing the support of the earth and the sensations of that contact between the earth and your feet. And as you notice that contact, the invitation is to perhaps close your eyes, go within, and to allow yourself to settle into the earth, finding that connection with yourself before we begin. And when you've noticed that sense of settling inside yourself, we can start. So, what you will learn from this mini lecture today will be the three zones of psychedelic integration, the three categories of psychedelic integration, and the first category of plant medicine integration, which is called clearing the cupboard. Lesson one, the three zones of psychedelic integration. So, in my experience of facilitating integration sessions, I have seen emerging patterns in the integration experience. These include number one, the green zone. So, in a few cases with plant medicine, individuals need little effort to embody the transformation that they have received. They may have gained resources, insights from the experience, and they also have enough resilience, tools, and resources to anchor this into everyday life. They arrive and they also leave the ceremonial space in a grounded, in the present, and in a self regulated presentation. And this is usually a permanent kind of state of being. So these are folks that are in the green zone of psychedelic integration. For most people that I see, they're usually in the yellow zone of integration. What that might look like is that these participant leaves a ceremony or a retreat on a high from the experience of plant medicine. They are excited, they're really pleased with their new form insights and the change and the transformation during the plant medicine experience. And this lasts for a while. In most cases, this actually lasts for about 4 to 6 weeks, but then the changes start to fade away, and the individual realizes that they have fallen back into their old habit patterns. Their insights are not yet fully embodied, and they realize that they might actually need additional support to help them to further integrate this change deeper in their bodies, their nervous systems, their mind, their heart, their soul, and their spirits. And this is where you come in to support them and to offer layers of support that can actually allow their insights to fully anchor and integrate. Then, with certain clients, I would say probably about 20% or 30%, these participants are in what we would call the red zone. In these cases, participants are quite disoriented from the ceremonial experience, especially if they have, gone through a terrifying experience or perhaps an old trauma imprint or memory may have come up into their consciousness. Usually, with these folks, they can appear when they show up in the ceremonial space to be quite vulnerable. And when they leave the session, they are usually in either a high sympathetic hyperarousal, such as fight or flight, or they might be in the dorsal vagal or hypoarousal, which is a freeze response. Now, these participants need support almost immediately, either during the post ceremony time or immediately within the next week, because we do not want to reinforce these feelings of anxiety or perhaps panic. And we want them to know that they're okay and they have the right layers of support to really hold them through this process. It is really quite disorienting to come out from a ceremonial space where it is safe back into the environment where they might have to work or be with their families, or they might have duties or responsibilities in their daily life. And if they're feeling anxious or panicked, or if flashbacks come back, it can be very unsteady for them, or really, yeah, they can really struggle during this time. So these people may need additional integration sessions or some therapeutic help and support to really, create some new patterns and some, support and safety as they are moving through, what is really, really painful for them during this time as they remember some of these memories and parts of their history. The next lesson here is around the three categories of plant medicine integration. Now, before I share some of these categories, these three categories in our module this time, I would like to share that there are actually many categories and subcategories in the integration journey. However, today and for this program, I will focus on the three main categories that I work with and that I witness and see. The first one is called clearing the cupboard. The second one is called shadow work. And the third one is called from me to we. So let's move into lesson 3 around clearing the cupboard and exploring what this category of integration might look like. So, with clearing the cupboard for newcomers to the world of plant medicine and psychedelics, they might go through what we would call a rebirth experience, or a reconnection to what we might name our higher selves or our true selves. This experience is very common. And this might be for most people the beginning of what Carl Jung called as self actualization. The participant might experience a awakening where they feel like they might be stepping into a newly upgraded version of themselves. Or perhaps they might experience it as parts of their former identity might be dissolving and also fading away. Now, as much as this can be a really thrilling experience, a really inspiring experience, a very strengthening, resourcing experience, the client's old environment, their habit patterns, their relationships might not be in alignment with this newly upgraded self. So, this category of integration entails cleaning up and modifying areas and facets of the client's life to support their newly upgraded self or the insights that have been gained from the altered state of consciousness experience. This may also be determined by the individual's intentions prior to the ceremony and also the kind of change that they wish to see in their lives. So, examples of clearing the cupboard may include changes to perhaps a person's career or maybe their life path. Maybe it might be emotional regulation or how they relate to others in their intimate environments, with their partners, with their children, in their home, and perhaps in their work environment. It might be clearing out peers or friends that no longer serve them. Perhaps the community that they surround themselves with, they might realize that that community is not in resonance with this higher, newly upgraded self. It may be something on the physical level, such as their diet, exercise, connection with their bodies, their hearts, their spirituality, and how they care for themselves and also personal habits and rituals. All of this is subject to change in a person's physical reality in the time that is following the ceremony. And this is such a precious time because the medicine is still here and working with us. This might involve you as a practitioner helping them to alter their mindset, perhaps their beliefs, caring and creating a new relationship with their emotions, building resilience, and also incorporating spiritual practices into their day to day lives. This might also, include removing certain roles or perhaps personas that we play in our lives that are no longer necessary and are creating suffering or sometimes self harm to ourselves. The majority of the time, these personas, these masks, or, quote unquote, the clothes that we wear are adaptive protection strategies that enable us to function in society, or they appear to keep us safe. But sometimes these protection strategies are no longer serving us. Maybe they are kind of outdated. Irregardless, we still need these personas to function in life. So sometimes it's around exploring, what personas we can let go of or soften a little bit and perhaps invite a new kind of persona, which is why this category of integration is called clearing the cupboard. So sometimes it also means letting go certain aspects of ourselves that are no longer serving us and inviting more resonant ones to create more space or take their space within. As an integrational practitioner, the objective of this type of integration is to assist the individual in aligning their outer environment with their newly discovered inner change. So, some of the things that you might be doing in your sessions might be providing support and guidance to the client in exploring what they need to quote unquote clear their cupboards. So, for instance, if a person is battling addiction, attends an ayahuasca retreat where they're able to break the cycle of addiction, then their integration process may involve things like altering their daily rituals, their habit patterns, letting go of old friends, unhealthy influences, and forming and connecting to a healthier, more supportive community to help them continue being free of addictions. In all the categories of integration, both time and space are necessary for the integration process. Change takes time, and as part of respecting the sacred process of transformation, patience is your ally, is your biggest ally. Another ally that you have is taking the time to slow down so that we can really connect and listen and be a witness to our inner wisdom so that our physical reality can reflect this inner transformation that has been gifted. Some of the reflection questions here that I would really invite you to take some time to sit with, really right here, right now, you can feel free to go inside, to draw your awareness from the screen and from my voice into your body, noticing the sensations, the feelings, the thoughts, and the energy which is here in your inner landscape. Ask yourself and write down, what were the three elements of this lecture that landed for you inside? What feels most alive for you after listening to this information? Can you relate to these zones, the green zone, the yellow zone, or the red zone, to your own personal plant medicine experiences, or perhaps to stories that you've heard from your community or your friends? If you can relate your own personal plant medicine experience to the category of clearing the cupboard, what helped you in your process? And in your own words, after listening to this lecture, who might you describe as individuals who might be in this category of integration called clearing the cupboard? Feel free to take your time to journal down these reflection questions, and they will also help you in your integration learning process. At the end of this lecture, I'd like to share how thankful I am for you to be here. Thank you so much for your kind attention, and I'm wishing you a really beautiful day ahead.
Hato nơ tơ sa ma be ke